Go to foodfarms.com and send me your actual address, and I will get you coffee. Okay. Sorry, I was driving. Text me your address and let me know what roast type you like. Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
So we're talking about topics to talk about today, like grittier topics. And one of them is this one. I wrote this thread called "The Solutions Are Simple," and what it's about, which people seem to have a really hard time understanding, is that I was writing, and I wrote it over a year ago. Let's see, December 9th, 2016, and what was wrong, I felt, was that because I'm doing a whole bunch of shit, I'm working all day long every day, that other people, there were a lot of people that were like observing my work, and they were not doing shit because they saw me doing it. So they're kind of like, it's all taken care of, it's all done. And so what I wrote is like, there's a bunch, here's a list of stuff I'm just not going to fucking ever do ever again. And so I said, one of the things is I get people who write to me and says, you should contact like Oprah. And it's like, okay, let me be really clear. I will never in my life ever contact Oprah. Ever. You fucking contact Oprah. You figure out how to do it. I imagine it would take somebody 80 hours to actually get a message to where Oprah actually reads it. And it's like, you fucking spend the 80 hours. I'm not your fucking Oprah bitch.
Okay. Welcome to Smackdown, everybody. We're starting off with getting in contact with Oprah. My name is Josiah Wallingford, and my guest is...
Paul Eaton! Oh, wait, that was me! Yeah!
Or co-host. I shouldn't say guest. Co-host. Co-host is Paul Wheaton. We do this weekly show. We have a live audience who is chit-chatting with us, and the live audience is special people. People who have helped with Paul's Patreon or become students of Permaethos, things like that. So we do a live conversation. We talk about all kinds of permaculture stuff. The folks that are in chat live get to chat with us directly. And after the show, we stop recording and we talk shit about everybody. We just talk about all kinds of stuff that we normally wouldn't talk about publicly. So if you're a customer of mine, Permaethos, or a Patreon guy, and you're not in here, don't know how to be, send us an email, and we'll get you in.
Yeah, I think you get, through my Patreon stuff, you can get in for $1, and then you can get the link, and then you could cancel your thing, and the link will still work.
Ugh. See, there you go. Go for Paul's Patreon thing. You're not going to be able to do that with mine. All right, so Paul, today we had a little discussion like, what the hell are we going to talk about, which we seem to have every week. And I was thinking, why don't we talk about some alternative income sources for people that have properties or farms, things like that. And specifically with the rental stuff, like renting things out. And you are diving into this a little bit, and I am desiring to dive into this a bit, or a lot. And so it's an exciting topic I'd like to talk about today. But we were just talking about competition, in that someone was saying, Paul's doing something, it's already been done, why bother doing it? And it's like, competition is really good. So please compete with me. That's what I think.
I don't think I was talking about competition. What I was talking about was there's this big essay that I wrote over a year ago, and I think it has a lot of views. It currently has 190,140 views. So a lot of people have looked at it, at least. But what I was trying to say is that I see a conversation happening on a big platform, and there'll be millions of people viewing. There'll be thousands of people commenting. And then the question will be something like, what's a great way to save energy? And all of the top responses are shit. They're just stupid shit. And I kind of feel like, okay, for 12 years now, I've been working my ass off to get this information out there about stuff that actually makes a difference. And as opposed to all this stupid shit that's been recirculating for decades. And not one speck of the stuff I've pushed made it into this list. And I kind of thought, where the fuck are the hundreds of thousands or millions of people that have seen my stuff? Which, by the way, I did my site stats today, and I think I'm at like 119 million people that have seen my stuff for all time.
Hits or individual?
That's visits. That's just the visits.
Visits, right.
So, and I think it's about...
There's some pretty dedicated people out there.
Yeah. So
that's awesome, though.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot. But the thing is I'll see this thing, and so one time I saw something like that was taken off, and I commented on it, and I left like 4 things. Rocket mass heaters was one, and I don't know, clothesline was another, and things that really, really, really make a difference. And my comment, and it was early on, and it's like things are just getting started, and my comment went nowhere. And granted, this is a lot like that whole stuff about eco level 1 versus eco level 5. All the level 5 stuff just seems fucking nuts. And then all the level 1 stuff seems fucking brilliant to the masses. So it's kind of like, so I didn't expect my stuff to go far, but I kind of felt like it would get a little bit farther than that. So I got really pissed. I got really pissed off. And so what I did is I wrote about it. And I wrote that it's like, people consume my stuff and they're like thinking, oh, that's an interesting point or whatever. And they go on with their day. And then they see something like this, and rather than like adding the information, then I think what they do is they think, well, Paul will be along and he'll put it in there. And then they're gone.
Or
and all I'm saying is it's like, I feel like a lot of people aren't doing jack shit because I am doing jack shit. And so then they're like, oh, I'm going to not do whatever. I'm going to not, and I kind of feel like, and my to-do list, I mean, like if I hired 100 people and they worked 40 hours a week for 10 years, I don't think we'd even be halfway done with my to-do list.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like, no, what? And so in this very thread, this essay that I wrote about this, people said, you should contact Celebrity X and they'll help you get something. And I got really pissed off and I said, you contact Celebrity X. I'm not going to contact him. I promise you, I am not. Even if I knew how, I will not contact them. Which, by the way, it's like I keep getting all these, like I'll meet somebody and they'll have an in to somebody, and I'll say to some famous person, I'll say like, yeah, I'll talk to him. That'll be great. Sure. Never hear a fucking peep again. And so it's like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to talk to any famous people. And it's like, I do it. People keep contacting me. You should contact Oprah. You should contact Daryl Hannah, because Daryl Hannah is big into this kind of stuff. You should contact Ellen Page because she once took a PDC. You should contact. It's like I have no fucking idea how to contact any of these people. And you know what? I remember once I ended up talking to Bill Nye the Science Guy's publicist or whatever, his time manager person. And I offered $5,000 if he would do like a half-hour podcast with me. And they just dropped me like a hot potato. Then I sent them a big fucking care package full of all kinds of Montana Huckleberry things, T-shirts, mugs, the decks of cards. You know, I mean, it was an enormous package. And a handwritten note to say, like, you know, hey, I just want to get a little feedback on rocket mass heaters. And that was like dropping it into the bottom of a hole. Nothing ever happened. And so I don't know if they ever got it or not. I don't know.
They probably did. Or someone did.
Yeah.
Or they were like, whoa, that's going to fuck with like sponsors and shit. And we don't want to fuck with sponsors and shit. Like energy companies.
So who knows what happened after that. So anyway, that was the thing I was talking about, was that it's like, I guess, I mean, I could only do so much. And so granted, if a celebrity could talk about my stuff, that would be great. But you know what? I've tried. I give up. I've got so much to do that's more about just getting the information out there that I already have that hasn't gone anywhere yet. And so it's like, no, I've got more projects than I have lifespan. I have more projects than I have lifespan, even if I had a staff of 100 people.
I was reading Ben's comment.
Oh,
yeah. I think what happens, okay, there's the dedicated peoples that really enjoy your work, really enjoy my work, read what we have to say, they follow it, and they like it. And then there's the majority. And the majority are like, of the people that see our work. The majority will read it, or at least read part of it, think they get the gist, and move on with their day. Something comes along later that reminds them of it, and they think, oh, yeah, I remember reading something about that. They don't think like, oh, Paul Wheaton's got a whole article on this. Here, read this, guys. So I think that's what happens mostly.
I did see one instance, and I posted it to this. This is why it's came up. Is like I was bebopping around, and I saw a thing where somebody was saying like, oh yeah, they were saying, oh shit, I just got my power bill for last month, and it's like far more expensive than I ever thought it would be. I moved to a new place, and it's just brutal. And then somebody linked to my article about how I cut 87% off my electric heat bill because this guy has electric heat. And actually, a lot of the suggestions that people were giving this guy weren't too bad, but a lot of them were just stupid shit. But there were some people that were like talking about hot water bottles, and it's like, you know what? If your heat bill is like $800 a month, hot water bottles are totally fucking worth it. I mean, you get a couple of hot water bottles and you just keep them on your person, and it's amazing how much warmer you feel because it's conductive heat and it heats your core, you know, and it's brilliant. That's one thing that I haven't mentioned in my stuff, but they were suggesting it. But the thing is heat. You gotta start with heat, and there were quite a few suggestions about heat, but of course, you know, fucking weather stripping, and it's like weather stripping helps, but most of the time, this day and age, weather stripping might help you like 7%, and but it's like, I mean, you know, you haven't. I don't think you've been here. No, you have been here. You were here this spring, but we had so many people here this last spring that even though there was snow on the ground, then I don't think we needed a lot of heat in the house because there's just so many bodies in the house.
Yeah.
But you got to stop by here sometime on a really cold day and get an idea of like how little wood we're using to heat this place. Like you put a couple of like 3 sticks in there, and like, wow, that's pumping out as much heat as a conventional wood stove. But it's like using just a fraction of the wood. And then on top of that, like the next morning, be like, holy shit, it's still 70 degrees in here. And you can touch the mass, and it's like, wow, that thing is still super warm.
Yeah.
You know, and it's an experience. It's an experience. And so, but somebody did mention my article, and so I was just feeling really good, like, oh, good. Somebody did do that. And of course, that was under some weird name. If I could match the name to the name on Permies, then I would probably give them some pie, some of the Permies.com pie, which, you could actually use the pie to buy some shit in the digital market, and the pie also gives you a bunch of extra features.
And you get discounts.
Yes, business discounts. And you once told me a few months ago that you're going to help me make that discount list fucking awesome.
Yeah, I still want to.
Okay.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of things that are done over at Permies, Rich Soil, are done on forums. And I don't know how I would do it on forums, but I'm sure we can figure something out. Yeah, I'd like to build a business directory, a whole directory, not just businesses, but primarily businesses and even products. But people can list their business or rental or whatever they got, and everybody can see it. Everybody can comment on it. You can thumbs up it or whatever. That's what I would like to see on Permies. I'd like to, because it'd be nice to have a damn business directory for all things permaculture and permaculture related, and to get coin. I don't know. We tie in pie with that so that you get like highlighted and stuff like that.
I see what you're saying. So it's like you could list your business, but not necessarily offer a discount for the pie program. That's cool.
Yeah, you list your business, for free, but you get extra traffic to your listing by paying some pie.
Okay. Well, we do allow people to list their business for free right now. Anybody can go. We've got all kinds of places where you can go and list your. So if it's a regional thing, go to one of our regional forums, list your business there.
I'm not talking about a forum, though. That's what I was getting at. Is that
it'd be a thread?
It wouldn't be a thread, right? What this would be is just a list of businesses. You click on the business, then you can comment on the business, review it, whatever. But not. I feel like the business listings don't work as well in forum or thread formats.
Okay. Well, I mean, you could make a wiki page.
You could.
So the Permies.com forum software supports wiki pages. And
Right.
So you can make a wiki page. That way you can edit it. You can allow other people to edit it. No problem. And then go ahead and list the businesses there. And then maybe you have a policy that everything that's listed there has to, if there's a link, the link has to go to their thread at Permies. And then the thread at Permies can have links directly to all their business stuff that they want offsite. Just for that page. Because a lot of people are afraid to click on links because it's like, oh, it says one thing, but it might really be a link to a porn site or something like that. It's spam.
Well, I mean, that is the great thing about forums is it's all moderated. Like if someone clicked on that and it took them to some spam shit, spam. You mark it spam. Moderators take a look, get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, at least at Permies. Permies is heavily moderated. There are some forums out there that are just unmoderated and they're a shitstorm. So, all right. Dana Martin says, my insurance will charge me $40 extra a month if I installed a rocket mass heater in my shop. My insurance lady had no clue what I was talking about with the rocket mass heater. All right.
Wow, how'd they know to give you a $40 estimate?
So, well, what they're doing is that $40 a month is a lot of fucking money, right? And I mean, that's a huge amount of money. So, okay. And then if it's in the shop too, that's kind of like, what? You gotta be fucking kidding me. So it's probably for any kind of wood burning contraption. But first, I want to make it really clear. All insurance is robbery. You know, it's like it's a fucking pathetic, miserable shitstorm joke.
I disagree. I'm on the opposite end of that. Anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe we need to come back to this at some point. As a software engineer that got to the point where I'm going to go ahead and just say I was in the top 1% of software engineers. Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm totally cool about people saying it's bullshit. But the upside is that I got to meet a lot of other software engineers that were, in the top 1% kind of a thing. And I got to hear about, and in fact, I met quite a few that did software engineering, not only for insurance companies, but also insurance company underwriting. And it's like the amount of money that they keep is, basically, if they don't end up at the end of each year having kept 40% of it or more, they drop it. It's like whatever that is, they're not going to do it anymore if they didn't clear 40% or more.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, so that right there, that kind of paints a bit of a powerful picture. But there's a lot. Okay, I'm going to skip past a lot of insurance stuff. Let's talk about insurance being cool with rocket mass heaters. One thing is that they're going to say, okay, if you've got any kind of wood stove in your shop, then we're going to charge you this extra $40 a month because we don't know what the fuck it is. That's the highest amount that we have for having a wood burning contraption in anywhere on the property. So we're just going to charge you this extra $40 a month, including in the summertime when you're not running it.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna charge you this $40. The next thing is that I think my understanding is a lot of insurance companies are learning about rocket mass heaters and how rocket mass heaters are actually safer, not only safer than wood stoves in general, but safer than natural gas or propane. And it's like there's all kinds of stuff that can happen in there that's very dangerous that doesn't happen with a rocket mass heater. And then the reason why they charge so much for the wood stoves is because of the creosote fires. And so then it's like, okay, well, we've eliminated the creosote fires, and then we don't have all those dangers that the propane and natural gas stuff has. It's like, so it turns out that a rocket mass heater is much more safer. So they're like, insurance companies are starting to really groove on rocket mass heaters, but first they have to find out that they exist. And Erica Wisner's been doing tons of work, including, I think Ernie's been helping out with it too, tons of work to not only get it into building codes, but also get it into the comfort zone of insurance companies.
This is the kind of thing that would be great for the business directory. List those damn businesses that are those insurance companies that are working with rocket mass heaters. That's
true. That is true. A little competition right there is going to be a good for it. All right. There was a question that was asked here before we started the show, and I want to go ahead and address that one real quick.
All right. Oh, Happy New Year, everybody! Thanks for posting.
I was going to wear my hat.
Where's your hat?
I've got a hat. Have you seen my purple hat?
Oh.
It would take me a while to go get it. I'm not going to get it now.
Was it a question from Dana? About the excavator?
Yeah, about the excavator. There it is. I got all excited about my hat. All right. Well, it's a cool hat. You've never seen this hat?
Well, maybe. I don't think so.
So let's see. If I go to Google and I say...
Oh, you're not searching for this hat, are you? It's a giant purple top hat, like a cartoon character would wear. Oh, like Willy Wonka's hat? Isn't that a big purple top hat?
So let's say I'm going to share screen. Doodly-doodly-doodly-doo. There's my hat. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it's like Willy Wonka's.
And my hat has different, like over here. So my hat has clothes.
Nice.
Yeah. So sometimes you could do this whole thing with the leaves and the flowers, and other times it's got like a little vest that it wears. I think it's got like 3 or 4 different outfits.
For those that don't know, Paul is really fucking tall, and so
Yeah, you can kind of see
wearing
in
that
this
thing.
picture.
Are you touching the ceiling with your flower?
Um,
Uh,
my flower does touch the ceiling in a lot of places.
it
Yeah,
looks like that's why it might be bent a little.
but you can kind of get an idea of what normal-sized people look like. These are not tiny people that are
Like,
behind me in this picture. Those are normal-sized people. In
you
fact,
are
I,
full a little.
I think Jocelyn is 5'9".
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're a big guy, so wearing that, I imagine like getting through doorways. You're just
Oh,
taking.
I barely cleared doorways without a hat.
Yeah.
So yeah, this takes something here. So
Hey,
and then this is a hat that Jocelyn got me for Christmas a few years ago. It's
looks like
it's
you're
called,
really enjoying it.
it's called a cunning hat. How many people that are on our chat know what a cunning hat is?
I don't know. You gotta. Julia says me.
So all right. So there we go. I've shared. I'm
I like that
done.
Stetson. It was a nice hat.
All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about the excavator.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Uh, okay, so I own an excavator right now. We call it Rex. It's got a bunch of stuff that needs to be done to it,
And
and
it's super cheap, right? Super cheap.
I bought it. Let's see, it's a 14-ton excavator. I bought it for like $16,000.
That is really a good price. But maintenance wise, I'm talking.
Yeah, yeah. The problem I'm having with maintenance, I mean, you got to change the oil in it twice a year, no matter what, no matter how much you use it or didn't use it. And it's like you're looking at a good $1,500 to change the oil, all the different goos and gunks in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like I'm having a hard time. And then the next thing is that rather than having people working on permaculture projects, we've got people who spend an enormous amount of time screwing around with a piece of equipment. And on top of that, it's thrown some tracks. We had to have it some repairs. It was offline once for like 6 months while we were waiting for parts and whatever to figure out what it needed, and then and get the parts in and repair it. So then and then another thing is that like at some point mice got in and ate like some kind of button stuff. They just ate the buttons, and it's like, what? So there was that, and then anyway, it's.
And then there's fine tuning, like getting it tight, getting it like it takes a lot of work.
So then, yeah, it's a lot. There's so much to do. There's just so much to do, and then there's a thing where I've on top of owning that excavator, I've rented excavators here probably 4 times, in addition to having the excavator that I own. And one time we rented from this outfit that was not CAT, and they did. I think did I talk about this last week where they did a scam. They're like, "Oh, you've done all this damage."
Oh yeah.
And we
That's what
want
we got
thousands of dollars. So you rent it. So I was kind of like, so it was I think it was a 6-ton excavator, and I was renting it for a week, and it was going to be like less than $1,000. Whereas if you rent it from CAT, it's going to be closer to like $1,400. And it's like, oh, I'm so fucking smart. I'm saving myself some money. They're both the same size and everything. But then there was this big fucking scam, and it just kind of turned, and it's like, it consumed a lot of my time. In the end, I won, all right? But it took up so much of my time to sort it all out that it was not worth it. It was definitely not worth it. And so it's a fucking scam. Whereas if you just rent it from CAT, then, CAT is going to charge more, but they're kind of like, everything. They do everything in such a professional manner. It's exactly what you would expect. So it's very predictable. So then there's the whole question of like, okay, you know what? And I'm going to sell my excavator. I'm going to sell it. And in the future, when I need to do excavator things, I'm just going to rent. It's just so much easier. Now, the one problem I have with renting is that it's like, okay, you get to rent it for a week, and then you have a limit of 40 hours. So you can put up to 40 hours on the excavator during that week. Now, if anything goes wrong with it, you call them up, and they usually come out the same day, and they fix it.
Yep.
And then they'll usually give you an extra day on the week, but you still are limited to 40 hours total. Now, the scammers, they had problems with theirs, and but they wouldn't extend it. That was part of their scam. So at the end, I think we only had like 30 hours on the piece of equipment, and we had to wait like more than a day for them to come and repair their equipment. But they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, and also cats probably got backups. Like if they have to extend for a day and they've got another rental, like someone's got that booked for the next week or whatever.
Yeah,
they've got another one they can give out if they need to.
So here's the problem that has happened every single fucking time that I have rented a piece of equipment, is that I'll rent it for like a week, and then there'll be somebody there that'll say, if you rent it, then I'll do these things for you and be your driver, and brr, 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 and I'll work a deal out, and then whoever the driver is, then they like, hey, don't show up on the first day. And they're like, oh, dude, I can't make it today. Shit happened. I'll be there crack of dawn tomorrow. And then they're there at like 3 p.m. And then they're like, yeah, I've only got 2 hours left, so maybe I'll just put it off until the next day. But don't worry, I'm going to get all the 40 hours in. And then by the time you get to the end of the week and it's time to take it back, you've only got 28 hours in. So you wasted those other hours. But that person, they still want their end of the deal in fucking full. In fucking full.
So, all right, if I'm using an excavator, are we talking on, there's a difference between doing it on your own property versus doing it as like a consultant on many people's properties. If you're doing it as a consultant, you have a consultant business and you're doing many, many properties, you need to find a really good excavator operator.
Oh, yeah.
And be very good friends with that person, and you're like, dude, work with me, you're going to get a cut from every job, and just be my operator. And that makes things go so much quicker, because if you get a new operator, someone that's never experienced permaculture, they're like, what the fuck is a swale? So now you're spending time at a client's place teaching an operator how to do it, and then it takes them quite a while to get the flow, but once they do, it goes really quick. But if you get that, if you have an experienced operator, it's worth flying them into wherever you're doing your job, rather than renting someone local that doesn't know what you're doing.
Absolutely. It's like the other thing is, like, for example, SEP only gets owner-operator scenarios where the guy owns the piece of equipment that he's running, and then SEP pays him by the job, and so then that person comes out. Because the other thing is, somebody who's really good at running one of those things, they'll get stuff done 2.5 times faster than somebody. Now, I'm a mediocre operator. I do pretty good, but I'm not as good as, like, I've seen a lot of people that are way better. But I think people that are, new and never done it before, then they can't tell the difference between them and me. Mm-hmm. And so they haven't spent enough time on it. But one of the things that we've done is we've been feeling like, and in fact, a lot of the effort that I have done during the first 4 years that I've been here has been the idea that I'm going to pay to train this person. And then I'm going to reap reward 4 or 5 years down the road. So I'm going to be cool with them coming and trying it out on my excavator and learning, or I'm renting the excavator and they're learning, because years down the road, they're going to be fucking awesome at doing this. And then I'll get my payback. And it's like, it's been a parade of 20 different drivers who have done crazy stuff. So like there's been some of them, we've rented some equipment and they've damaged the equipment and I had to pay for that. And so I would imagine right now I've paid $25,000 in equipment damage.
That's the other thing is that, so we talked about being a consultant and doing it that way. As an instructor, when you were doing classes, PDCs or earthwork courses, and you have an excavator people can use, or like the ATC we used, your excavator. But if you have one on site that students can play with and learn with, that's a huge learning value for students. Like that's really exciting, a lot of fun. You have an experienced permaculturist there showing you how to operate the arm, what you're looking for when you're cutting a swale or digging ditches or doing roads, things like that. It's really nice to have. And I was going to say on the consultant side, I don't want to be the operator when I'm consulting a job, because I like being on the ground watching the machine to make sure they're doing everything correctly. Otherwise, if I'm the operator, I'm hopping out to look at some things often and then hopping back in just to make sure I got everything right. And there's a lot of prep work, of course, as well. It just, everything seems to flow a lot quicker if I have an operator.
So, all right, the question is, rent or own? Personally, I'm shifting back to rent. I want to sell my equipment and rent. Yeah. I also have a dump truck, and I got talked into getting this dump truck, and I want to sell that too. It's keeping it running is like this enormous amount of work.
Yeah, to keep that big heavy equipment running, I think you need to be a company that does that, because you need to have nonstop jobs to make it worth paying all the maintenance of owning it. Now, I don't know about smaller stuff. I would say it might be worth it if you have a lot of land and you are going to be using it a lot. It might be worth it to have a mini X, because I think the costs on a mini X are far less. That's more like, it's like having a farm truck. Like if you have to have a nice farm truck and you're using it a lot off-roading and stuff, that's probably what the expenses would be like. Like you're going to be beating up the truck and you're going to be paying for it, but it's not as high as a heavy equipment operation.
Well, that's the other thing is in 2015, I got so tired of the excavator constantly being offline, and we had so much work to get done. And then on top of that, we had 4 EVs, and they were all 4 offline most of the time. And so we just had all this work to get done, and we had this equipment for getting it done. And so finally what I did was I bought a brand new Kubota tractor, and I've been using that. And its needs for maintenance are minuscule. It doesn't have much in the way of needs for maintenance.
Yeah, tractors are great.
Yeah, and so then that's a tool that's quite reliable, and we've put a lot of hours in on it, so it's been doing good.
Tractors also have minimal hydraulics compared to excavators. Excavators just have a lot more hydraulics going on, which can be, like he was talking about changing fluids. The hydraulic fluids are expensive to deal with.
And so here's a little bit of a bitchy, whiny thing. One of the electric vehicles that we have now, it's called the Duke Mobile. Have you seen it? It's a long bed golf cart kind of thing, and then somebody made like little wooden sides for it and wrote Duke Mobile on the sides, which I thought that was really great. I was really
good. Hey, what's that behind you?
Oh, where it says the Duke?
Yeah. Same guy?
So, well, for the Duke Mobile, I can't remember who wrote that. I think there was a guy that was here for like just a couple of days, and he went around and did a bunch of wood burning on a bunch of different stuff. and then he like took off, and he was going to come back, and I don't know if he ever came back or not. When there's hundreds of people coming through, it's hard to remember everybody's names. But the thing is that particular vehicle is old, and it was heavily used when we bought it, so it was like 20 years old or something, and it kept having like little issues that constantly needed repairs. In the meantime, we had two bad boy buggies, so they were four-wheel drive UTVs, and then we had one Polaris that looked like some kind of dune buggy, and the Polaris came with a snowplow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
I've heard bad things about Polaris.
We've all four vehicles had one problem or another, and so okay, here's my advice about buying a little farm vehicle, because the thing is, when I was on Mount Spokane, I got for $4,100, I got a little green golf cart with what they called a monster tire kit. So it just had knobby tires. But you know what? Here's my advice. Get a regular golf cart with regular tires. Don't get knobby tires, just regular tires. Two-wheel drive. Don't get four-wheel drive. Don't get a lift kit. Don't get any of that fancy shit. Just the only thing I would get different on it is where they got on the back end. They've got the thing where they could make it on the back side. Either seats. No. Don't get that. I've had those here, and it's like, no, don't get that. Get it where it's got the seats in the back, two seats in the back, which will flip out. So it's like this way it seats, or you can flip it this way, and then it's like the little bed. You can put a couple bales of straw back there or something like that, a couple bales of hay. And so it's like it'll carry shit. But a lot of times what we're doing is we're carrying people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's a bunch of these things that are out now that are like, they're 30 horsepower, 36 horsepower. Don't do that. The standard golf cart is 3 horsepower. And then those batteries last fucking forever.
And also, if it can't go really fast, it's not going to get as fucking beat up by the help. Borrowing it.
That's a very good point. And so you can put a limiter on it, and then that way it'll limit it to be like 6 miles an hour.
But it'll still have the horsepower to get you going.
Right, because electric vehicles have the most power at the lower speeds. Yeah, and so it's kind of like, all right, don't get those. I mean, there's those things that have those fancy suspensions. So like we've got 3 vehicles here now that have fancy suspension kits. And all I got to tell you is that I have now put a fuck ton of money into just in parts cost for these fucking things, for their boots, for their the suspension stuff, for axles, all that crap. And there's like, I don't know, a couple of hundred hours of people time here that could have been spent on permaculture projects, and instead they're fucking around with the axles and shit on these fucking EVs. And so it's like, just get straight axle golf carts. That's, they're far cheaper too. So like the Polaris, when we bought it, that was $14,000. And it's like, son of a bitch. And
it's also pretty amazing what people have done with horses.
There's a whole other thing, and it's like there's a debate about horses. I mean, with horses, it's like a lot of work to get the horse hooked up.
Not only that, but just having horses is a lot of work. You got to work with them all the time.
Yeah.
And just their health. I mean, it's not like, I'll just get a horse and put it in the field. You can, but don't expect to be using that horse for much.
So I think that where we're at now, and the other thing is that we were using these EVs to go between base camp and the lab, and I think, don't ever do that again. And so let's get just one EV, and it's for use on on base camp only, and it's 2-wheel drive. I mean, the Duke-mobile is 2-wheel drive, but the Duke-mobile kept falling apart, and right now its controller is shot or broken or I don't know what. It's got problems. And it has something to do with this control, but its controller is so old that the way that you connect to it is with a DB25 connector.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, oh, that sounds like a serial port to me, old school serial port.
Yeah.
DB25, that's not
You got
even
an old printer
DB9.
around?
What's that?
Got an old printer laying around?
Yeah. I was thinking like, fuck, do I even have a computer that's so old
But it's
that
got
I
a
could,
port.
that I'm not even sure if I still have a DB25 cable. That's 20 years ago.
I think I still have an adapter, a USB adapter that would do it.
USB to DB25?
It was because I worked a server so much.
Oh.
I had to connect to all kinds of old shit sometimes. Let's hit the comments, and then we only got 15 minutes left. So,
Dana's saying something about a mini truck. I would be okay with. I mean, first of all, I have a problem with a mini truck, and that I don't fit inside of it. But we also have a Ford Ranger here now. I don't fit inside of that either.
Man, in Afghanistan, those things are everywhere. That is what they have.
Yeah, yeah. And so the mini truck, I'm sure everybody's kind of seen them around once in a while, but it's a small truck. They'll go 55 miles an hour. They get like 45 miles to the gallon, but they are a gasoline-powered thing. They generally are four-wheel drive, and a brand new one is something like $9,000.
Yeah.
And so they just
last a long time, and maintenance is cheap.
Yeah, maintenance is crazy cheap, and they last a really, really long time. They're very durable. They do really well. And Dana's saying there are electric ones as well. Every once in a while, I've put some feelers out to find an electric one, and I haven't. And again, the problem is that and granted, what I'm trying to do is to have like 20, 30 people here that are doing all this stuff because I'm glued to the office. And so I don't need to fit inside of it. In fact, I own that pickup truck, Ranger Doug. I don't fit inside of that Ford pickup. I can't get behind the wheel.
Right.
But it gets a lot of use because there's a lot of other people here. And so it's kind of like, all right, the mini truck would be a cool way to go, the electric one. But, of course, the nice thing about Ranger Doug is that you could drive it into town. Now, if there's an electric mini truck, what's the range on an electric mini truck?
I wouldn't even do electric myself. I would go gas for a mini truck. The maintenance is going to be a lot cheaper. With the way that you guys use vehicles, I would go with gas.
Well, right now, I mean, the thing I want to do is take in my 3 EVs. And that's where I was bitching about. I went and saw this guy in Spokane. And because we picked up, that's where the Duke Mobile came from, was this place in Spokane. So I went to this place in Spokane, and I said, how about I bring that back to you? And then I bring back a bad boy buggy and a Polaris 4-wheel drive, all fancy schmancy. And the Polaris even has a snow blade on it. I bring back these 3 vehicles, and I walk out of here with one new one. So the new one I was looking at was about $7,000. And it's like, okay, the bad boy buggy and the Polaris were each about $14,000 brand new, and then we got the Duke Mobile from you for like I think $4,200 or something like that. And so, how about if I bring all 3 of these back and I come out with this one brand new one? And so that would be probably worth at least double, roughly. And he's like, yeah, sure. And it's like I call him, I email him. I can't get the guy to return my calls. And
you just got to show up with those suckers. Like, here they are.
A drive to Spokane with a total roll of the dice. And then but he doesn't keep what I want. He doesn't keep it in stock. It'd have to be ordered.
Oh, we'll just drop it off.
And so I was saying,
now you owe me.
Because I need the space where these things are stored. We got them stored in a dry place. But all right. So then the thing that we're talking about is that I got a Kubota to replace all this equipment that's requiring so much maintenance. And in the end, it's kind of like I would rather have people working on cool permaculture projects rather than maintaining all this equipment. And there was this point in time where we spent a full month it was 100%. All the people that we had here were all working on maintenance. So I tried putting together what I thought was a really cool list of stuff, of projects that we want to do still. So you and I were talking about this bunkhouse idea because, we need more bunks for the wintertime when we have workshops here in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And then Jocelyn made a really good point. She said, can we please, she says, I'm having a really hard time even thinking about other things that we want to do when there's so many things that are not finished yet. And I kind of thought, oh yeah, that is pretty intense. And she said, like, here in my living room, because it's fair. Jocelyn calls it her living room, and it's like that rocket mass heater still doesn't have its last piece of granite slab put on the top of it, and it's like, and that the thing is that the guy that we got the granite from gave us a sweet deal, provided that we give him a shippable core, which we haven't given him yet. So we got to build the shippable core and take it. And I've had 7 people start that shippable core project and never finished it. And so we got to take the shippable core. We got to have somebody build the shippable core. We take it into the guy. We get our last piece of granite. And we finish the rocket mass heater that's here in the Fisher Price house. But there's like a list of projects that are like not quite done yet, and it's like, fuck, we just need to get all those fucking done is what we need to do. And so it's a really good point. But I also kind of feel like for all the things that we want to do long term, that's a fun list.
And there is something to be said about giving up on projects when you're like, it's just not worth it. That's a hard thing to do when you're in business, is count your losses. Just saying it just didn't work out. Time to move on, because you put so much time, energy, money into projects that you want to happen. It's really hard sometimes if you need to ixnay one.
I think we have a lot of people who come and then they say, I'm going to do that project. And then for whatever, you learn a lot about yourself when you try something that no one has tried before, and you're trying a new thing. And then I think what a lot of people do is they get to a point where they're like, I bit off more than I could chew, but I don't want anybody to know that. So I'm just going to leave. I'm going to just start a whole new life over again rather than let anybody know that I bit off more than I could chew. So I think that's why we get a lot of these projects that are kind of left like that. Now, as far as, cutting your losses, it's like the rocket mass heater that's in the house is doing fucking awesome. That's a powerful win. That's a huge win.
Yeah, that's a great stove.
I think another project that still isn't done is the berm shed. And so it still needs to have, there's a couple of spots where the dirt that's on top needs to be pulled back, and then a new layer of billboard material or some other kind of plastic needs to be laid down, and the dirt needs to, because it has a leak. And the reason why it has a leak is because it shifted shortly after it was built. And then the material on the top ripped. And it's like, okay, we just need to pull back the dirt, lay down some material on top of it, and then put some dirt back on. No big deal. That's easy peasy. We just gotta, and then then it never had all of its dirt put back on top because we knew we had to replace this stuff. So then it's like, okay, let's finish putting the dirt on top, and then let's plant it and mulch it and start growing shit up there. That's what it's all designed for. And so let's finish the berm shed. Let's finish the rocket mass heater in the house. The other thing is, when we bought this property, it's like they had replaced the house with another double wide, because the first double wide that was here got flooded, like a pipe broke, and so their insurance just bought them another. But they bought one that was like 20% smaller. So now you've been here. And when you're between the library in the house, there's that place where we got that little picnic table.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like this butt ugly little area. And that's because that butt ugly area used to be covered up by the rest of the previous double wide.
Oh, okay.
And then, so we just need to build a new deck or something to kind of hide all that. And
Well, I thought it'd be kind of like a cool secret little garden kind of thing. Like it's got shelter on both sides. Not much sun, but you could do some stuff in there.
Sure. There's a lot of stuff that you could do. There's a lot of cool stuff, but we gotta, obviously it's been pretty ugly the whole time we've been here, and I think it's like, okay, we gotta do something with this. So all I'm saying is there's a bunch of projects that still need to be finished.
Yeah.
And we should probably focus on finishing stuff first, or the junk pole fence out there, for paddocks, They got started but never finished. And so now there's a pile of materials out there just sitting on the ground. That's not okay.
It's hard for workshops too. Like, because if you're going to be doing a workshop, oftentimes when you need something built, you cover a lot of the expense, or at least some of the expense, with doing a workshop where you have other people come and learn and build something. But it's always new projects. It's hard to get a workshop where it's like, okay, we're going to renovate this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think there's some places where you can kind of mix it in. Like it's going to be a mix of skills, a mix of experiences.
I think if you're doing like the junk pole fencing, that could be totally workshop. Like we're going to learn something, we're going to build something new, and we can go and fix all this stuff. And you can see the stuff that you'll need to fix too.
Hopefully, by the time we do the next Smackdown, 1 week from today, then we will have all of the web pages up for the Peasant PDC, the Formal PDC, and the ATC. The Peasant PDC is a 30-day long PDC, really, really cheap, but it's going to have a lot of hands-on experience. And so then the hands-on experience is going to be, there's going to be some junk pole fence in there, but hopefully we're going to have something like 30 students. And so then, let's all go out and build junk pole fence for 2 hours. And it's like, hopefully that'll get a lot of fence built really fast.
Man, that would be a great project for the university students at the U of M. Like,
exactly.
Get a couple of them that'll drive, because they all have to get there, and just load them up and have them drive out once, a couple days of the week, a day or two of the week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben appears to be all about trail crews. He says, trail crew operators have perfect skill set for this. At least my buddy Alex does. He knows how to water and land interact and cares about living things. He's talking about the excavator work. Yeah, trail crew guys, I guess. I mean, at least they've worked in the woods and understand dirt and water. That's a big plus. If you can find a trail crew, like an excavator operator that worked trail crew, like he specialized, like in the national park, they have operators that specialize in excavation. That's the kind of excavator I would like. That would be a great excavator.
We had this couple that stayed in the teepee the very first winter, Emily and Tony, and they had worked for the Forest Service, I think, or maybe it was Parks Service, and building trails.
Or BLM or something. Oh, okay.
And so there's a bunch of trails right here at base camp that they built, and this is such a big chunk of rock. What they did was they had like 6 people all at once out there, and they just started beating the shit out of it with pickaxes. In fact, it's the first time I've ever seen a pickaxe where I bought it like a month or two earlier, and it was beat down to just this little nub on the end, and that's all that was left of this pickaxe. So
you were definitely working it.
Yeah. But we got these amazing trails. Yeah, we got great trails right here at base camp.
Yeah.
So, all right. We had a list of other stuff we were going to try and talk about today. You remember what any of it was?
We don't have any time. We have 2 minutes left. So we're going to have to use it as an intro for or preparation for next week. So what I would like to talk about, and I hope you guys all join in, is renting. And not only renting, but like B&B kind of stuff. So if you are a farm, you could build these tiny homes or cabins and rent them out to people. So how do you go about doing that? Or maybe you might be renting them for a couple days. You might be renting them for months. You might be renting them for a workshop, things like that. And then my personal passion that I would like to really talk about is RV parks. And how to apply permaculture to RV parks, dealing with renters that way as well, things like that. So, yeah, I'd like to talk about that next week. Wanted to talk about today, but that's okay. It was a good conversation. We got all kinds of stuff out of the way here. Have you considered trail crews in your area with people who actually like to work hard? That says Ben. This is another one. He's all about these. He says they make trails. As potential ants, etc., because they often are tired of seasonal work and federal bullshit. Also, this SCA trains some awesome workers with permaculture relevant skills, but you have enough to do.
I love the idea. So like the thing is right now, I do not have the coin to directly hire anybody, and so we've got a gal. She's going to start renting out the structures that we have, and set up a bunch of events, and so then hopefully that'll get our cash flow up, and then we can hire people. In the meantime, we do have the boot camp program where if a person does the boot camp program for 1 year, the first person that does the boot camp program for 1 year gets an acre of deep roots. So that's rent for life. And so I think that that's a pretty sweet ass deal right there. But I think that there's the boot camp program, there's the ant program, and deep roots and things like that. But that's what we have available right now. We don't at this time. I can't afford to hire a bunch of people to do this work. But part of the boot camp program is that I will feed them while they're here. And that's another thing we're going to be doing this year as part of the PDC, the Peasant PDC, is that we're going to go up to Allerton Abbey and make Allerton Abbey a paradise, which is going to be an acre of gardens, which will hopefully feed all the future boots, and maybe we'll even get some food for the events that we hold here.
He says the SCA is Student Conservation Association, and they work for as little as $60 a week. Your Permi residency programs are a great parallel. Oh man, yeah. All right.
I think so. Ben, send me an email. Send me an email, Ben, and I'll look into it.
When I hear Student Conservation Association, that sounds like I'm gonna have to work with the college, which means they're gonna have to come to the property and research a certain way, and fuck all that.
yeah. I don't need to be on any more databases.
But who knows? Maybe it's not that. Maybe they got maybe.
I'm open to stuff.
Poaching a lens is what he's talking about.
I'd really like to see a dozen people in our boot camp program. I'd like to see 2 boot camp teams here.
And what if you could tie that in with I know there are school programs where it's like for this school program you need to work at this list of companies we have, and they'll take you on for a year to pass this course.
Yeah.
And so I could see that working, but man, there is gonna be a lot of work, and if you did a program like that in working with the school to make sure that the school's happy with what they're going to be learning. I think once you have it set up and they're happy, it's not a big deal anymore, but it'd be a lot of upfront work.
I think that the thing that would be great, that'll make the system work really, really well, is that if we had a dozen boots right now and there were 100 other people on a waiting list, and the dozen that made it in were the top 12 out of that 100. And then basically a person comes in here, because we've had it where people were here in the past, a long time ago, and it's like, hey, could you go and shovel the snow? Because we're having trouble getting in and out of the house. And they're like, no, you do it.
By the way, did you kick around the idea of the partial land ownership thing? Like, as you progress, you get more of your property or whatever.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I like the idea that,
I
like, let's
still
say,
have been thinking about it a lot.
like a person gets here and they're in the boot camp program, and they're saying, I want to get my acre of land, and then it's like, so I don't know, maybe after a month, then we pick that acre. Where's your acre? And then you pick it, and then we could talk about how they could, do stuff up there on the weekends or whatever. But if at any time they don't, things don't work out, or they're going to head down the road for, whatever, then it's like, okay, some other boot can just say, okay, that's going to be my plot. And it's like, so then even if they leave, then somebody gets a head start. In fact, I got to say, if anybody wants to come and be part of Ant Village, we got 2 plots that currently you could say, okay, I want an Ant Village plot, and there are exactly 12 plots, and there are 2 of those that have some stuff already done there, so you'd have a head start, and it's first come first serve, baby. So
Is one of them Ben's? Is one of them Ben's?
Yeah. So he had the bear den, which is a debris hut. We had 12 people sitting in there. But I haven't been there for a year now, so I don't know what kind of state it's in right now. But he built something else too.
Yeah, he was trying to build like a greenhouse house.
Yeah.
Like we're living in kind of thing.
And I never saw that. I never went back there and saw that. I think I do really good at being hands off. And one of the things I do is I do not walk onto anybody's plot without their permission. And Ben, his plot's so far off the road that it's kind of like, I'd have to stand at the road and super shout. And if you can't hear me, then that's just dumb. So usually I'm like driving down the little road there, and then I can see somebody. And I can be like, hey, I'm giving the tour today. You mind if we look at your plot? So.
We went there with, so Ben asked Bearpaw to come and take a look at this greenhouse thing. And I mean, Bearpaw was like, I think you need to start over. There's some stuff you got to start over with here. But but man, yeah, he lived in that. I was surprised. I think, didn't he say he spent a whole winter there or close to it in that bear den?
Yeah, but then it's kind of like, it's like winter camping.
That's extreme, man.
Yeah. And so there were some.
I mean, it'd be way better than
guys
being in a tent. Like, I'm sure it was warmer than just if you were in a tent in the middle of winter.
True. He had heat in there.
Right.
He did have heat in there. He had like a Rumford, I think.
But
yeah. But the big thing is like there's bins, and I'm not sure what all he's got there, but like if you're gonna go up there and you're gonna be an ant, you're gonna take on Ben's old plot, then it seems like that's still a step up.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, there's something going. Like
and
you
then,
have some stuff built or
yeah. Now and if it's not winter worthy by your standards, then by all means build another thing, and you've got something to stay in while you're building that thing.
Oh, I was thinking root cellar, man. That bear dead thing would have been root cellar.
That's true. It would probably be a pretty good root cellar.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a path. But and I got to go up and take a look at it and get some better ideas. But the bottom line is that it's if somebody wants to come and be part of Ant Village and snag one of the 12 plots, there's a couple that have some stuff on them. And then there was a couple where they sold their improvements, and I kind of feel like that's a path. You come, you do some stuff, and then if a year or two later you're kind of like, nah, changed my mind. It's like, yeah, sell your improvements. So there's several people that have done that already, and eventually, it'll be, I believe, an amazing permaculture paradise.
All right.
So,
cool.
All
right, guys. We will see you next week. We are totally out of time. Please, we want to expand the audience, so share it with your friends and let them know what's going on, what kind of shit we talk about. You can always head over to tv.permaethos.com and check out previous episodes, or on YouTube, or on iTunes podcast style if you want just the audio. All right, Paul. I'll see you next week, man.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Oh, stick around. We do the after show. So bye to all the people that aren't cool enough.